5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the 323's Top 5.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
My number 5, it's one of the more basic things. I'm sure everybody, unless you're living under a rock, heard about the recent rule changes for the NFL coming for this 2024 NFL season. The first one I actually I'm okay with. It's the kickoff rule adjustment. They're creating a new form of a free kick play that's designed to, resemble, a typical scrimmage play where the opposing teams are lined up on the receiving team's 35.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Teams on 35. So the only person you have back there is your kicker kicking the ball, and then your receiver in the end zone. But it's to promote more returns, because there's nothing more boring than the team trots out there after winning or scoring a touchdown or kicking a field goal, and they just kick the ball at the end zone. You go right back to a commercial break for another minute, and then you come back. So hopefully this gets a lot more electrifying plays. And I am a big proponent for player safety, and you see a lot of guys getting hurt on those special teams plays. You're running full speed, balls to the wall, all the way down the field, where you see a lot of these bone-crushing hits happen. So hopefully this will limit any kind of exposure to any detrimental injuries. I don't know how you feel about the kickoff ruling.
No, I'm completely down with it. It's definitely going to be messy to start, and they'll put a lot of work into it with the preseason, I'm sure. But the XFL, or now UFL, they've been doing this. They're adapting the rule from them, and I think it's worked out well. I think it gives you, like you said, an opportunity for more exciting plays. We just put Devin Hester in the Hall of Fame. We're not producing Devin Hesters anymore. There's no role for those guys who, maybe aren't a great receiver or a great running back in terms of starting or on the offensive side. But kickoff is a whole different beast. I stand on it that it's the most terrifying thing I've ever done was be on kickoff team in high school football. It's terrifying the way that the rules were in terms of everybody moving high speed. You don't really know where you are for a second. I'm not going to equate it to charging into war, but it kind of feels like that of sports.
It's damn near close.
Close.
I'm right there with you. And I wasn't so much afraid on the receiving team, because you're kind of just backpedaling and you're, picking a guy and you just try to go and engage him. But I was more afraid, like you said, being on the kicking team, because you're running down the field full speed. And next thing you know, you get blindsided by some random ass guy and you're like, what the hell happened? And next thing you know, you're on your ass and you look up and all hell's breaking loose. You're just screaming in a foxhole somewhere.
That's exactly what happened to me my first game. That was my introduction to
it happened to you just a couple years ago when you went to go watch a middle school game.
That's right. Yeah, I was just on the sidelines and I got taken out. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm all for it. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it'll be messy at first. People will get, they'll be loud about it, but by week 6, week 7, people will be used to it. They'll be completely down with it. And, it'll be a good time. That's a good
right.
5.
Well, and speaking about bone crushing hits, the one that I'm kind of on the fence about, even though, yes, I will vie for player safety at all times, but you're seeing, the irrelevance of the hip drop tackle now. And for those who don't know what a hip drop tackle is, it's when a defender wraps up with a ball carrier and rotates and swivels on you. So pretty much you grab them and you're turning your body and essentially jumping off the ground and just dead weighting them, falling. You see a lot of really nasty, gruesome lower body injuries, between ACLs being torn, Achilles being, crushed, and, broken ankles. Now, if a hip drop tackle occurs, it will result in a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down if the player uses any of the following techniques that, we kind of just mentioned.
Right. And I understand defensive players getting upset about it. I played on the defensive side of the ball. It was actually something that we learned in freshman football how to do, was that hip drop tackle. And they were like, use it if you need to.
Right.
And we're like, this seems like a rough one. It seems like a rough one, and people will be upset about it, and refs are going to mess it up.
Oh,
refs are
they
going
mess
to-
up everything as it is anyways.
They're-
And now, like you said, you have all these defenders coming out and being like, now we're going to be the National Flag Football League here in the next couple of years because, we can't go high. Now we can't go low. We'll try to do our best, to form tackle. But you have all these DBs who are, 5'10", 5'11", 200
Right.
pounds soaking wet going up against these big body 6'4" monsters
Derrick
on
Henry's.
the outside.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to do a clean tackle now.
This is what but you know what? Sean Taylor would have been built for this. Sean Taylor used to take you out clean in the middle of your body. Everything. That's how you have to do it right there. And these guys, they will adapt to it. They will get better. This will make better defensive players, I fully believe, eventually, because they're going to go for that perfect middle, that perfect attack. And it's what they should have been doing from the start. And this same thing happened with the collar, with the horse collar tackle. There was issues at the start. There were, problems from players that they thought this was ruining the defensive game. But it's for the safety. Like, you could kill somebody with that play. This one, like you said, we had Mark Andrews. We had several guys go down with terrible lower body injuries last year. Something had to be done about it. Live with it. Everybody will get used to it.
Well, and especially, for those who watch college football, I might have to go back and rewatch that play as much as I don't want to rewatch that play because it just marked the end of our season for Florida State. But if you go back and look at that Jordan Travis injury, gruesome lower leg injury where he broke his leg, I'm pretty sure that was a hip drop tackle because I can remember his leg getting tied up underneath the defender at that point.
I would
be willing to bet it was.
I would bet that it was. And I think that there was some conversation about that when it happened. We'll put that up in post and all, but yeah, it's something had to be done. Something had to be done. People will be upset. It'll be okay. I promise you all, it'll be okay. You'll get over it.
The Rashee Rice, I almost said racing Rice there,
Well-
because Rashee Rice was driving his Lamborghini down there in Dallas?
Yeah.
Involved
Always
in a
Dallas.
high-speed crash over the weekend in Dallas. Of course, he's taking full responsibility for his part, as he should, because you were driving the car. But I saw the video of the accident. That could have turned a lot more ugly if something didn't go the way it should have. We're almost coming up on a year now of the Henry Ruggs incident where he had that fatal accident out there in Las Vegas. We've seen the downfall with that. What you had very promising talent in the NFL pulled out from underneath of him. I believe he is in jail now.
Yeah, he is in jail. Yeah.
Yep. And I think I haven't heard any grumblings from Goodell's office yet about any kind of potential suspensions, which I'm sure it's going to happen down the pipeline. But you have this, and then you have like all these kids in college, especially down there in the University of Georgia, who always get these reckless driving and these DUIs and things like that. There's absolutely zero reason.
No.
When you're at this level, whether it's in a more predominantly well-run institution in college to the NFL, there is no reason for this at all because you have chauffeurs who can wait on you hand and foot 24/7, 365. Hey, I need a ride from point A to point B. Cool. We'll be right there. Not a big deal. But this, just like how domestic violence is a huge issue still around in the NFL, at this point, obviously the Henry Ruggs ruling and punishment didn't teach anybody a good enough lesson. So at this point, Rashee Rice is just going to have to be the martyr at this point for to try to scare people, because you think causing the accident itself is enough to scare anybody away.
Right.
But when you have these young guys with mountains of cash, and the first thing they always end up buying is some supercar out there, like, it's just a recipe for disaster. There needs to be some more, not only just personal accountability on the player standpoint at this point, but I feel like the NFL could do a lot more with guiding these kids to making better decisions with their money.
Yeah.
I understand you want to be all swagged out and get some crazy 6-figure car and blah, 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 blah. You're going to do what you want to do anyways. It's your money. I don't care. But like, you need to understand that there's ramifications to your actions, no matter how good or bad that you're going to be. So hopefully, thank goodness we're not having a similar discussion like we did last year with Henry Ruggs about a fatality in this accident. But like, this has to be the final straw. Something has to be done, right?
You would think. You would think, and it's 100% great point that the NFL should step in and do more for financial management. Like it's always been a problem. We've seen it. We've seen it with how these retired players handle their money after and the situations that they catch themselves in when football isn't an option anymore. Clinton Portis facing jail time for, different manipulations of money. Brett Favre doing the same thing in Mississippi with welfare money. Like, these guys don't know what to do with this money. And there's a thing to it when you have a lot of these guys like Rashee Rice. I don't know how he grew up. I don't know how Henry Ruggs grew up. But when you take a lot of these dudes who are coming from nothing, like they don't have anything. They're coming from the hood, nothing to show for themselves. They've never had money. They don't know what to do with money. And then all of a sudden you hit them with a few $1 million. You're going to lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think just about anybody is not going to know what to do with it if they don't have a proper financial manager by their side to help them with that.
A trustworthy and honest financial manager, because that's another issue that you see happen to a lot of people. A lot of these guys get their money taken out from underneath of them because the people who they trusted aren't doing the right thing. And I think that speaks just to the American educational system en masse at this point, because you're right. A lot of these guys come from nothing. And I think the stat that I saw, like almost 80 to 85% of professional athletes don't sign a second contract.
Right.
Most people only play 4 years and they're out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much money are you really making within 4 years? A couple mil?
Yeah.
If you're not doing the right thing, you're gonna be losing it, and then you're gonna be, I don't know, I don't want to throw shade at car dealers, but you're gonna be looking at a car dealership. I mean, that's what Mac Jones is gonna end up doing here soon when he doesn't sign another extension. But I think that just goes to how the American educational system is just failing everybody across the board, and how financial literacy needs to be taught from a young age. I know I do this with my kids, and giving them kind of like a weekly allowance of a couple dollars, and we go to a store and they're like, hey, can I buy this? I'm like, you only got $2. This costs $5. You're going to have to save it up. And when they finally get that, then they're like, hey, I have enough money to get it. Can I get it now? I'm like, you can get it, but just so you know, if you spend this, you don't got any for later. So if we go to another store, or if something else comes up next week and you really needed it, you need to understand that your actions have consequences, good or bad.
And there needs to be 1 million more people like you that are teaching kids this and everything, because I wish I had that, growing up. I wish there had been these financial classes that a lot of high schools have now that are actually prepping them for like taxes and IRAs and all this stuff, and teaching them about these things, because I didn't have that. I found myself in financial situations over the past years, and you're going to see that with these pro athletes too. Dwayne Johnson had the show Ballers on HBO, which, all intents and purposes, not a great show, but I thought it was a very interesting look into the life of pro athletes and pro football players, that he was playing this, pro football player who got injured, turned it into a career as an agent because he wanted to do better for players, unlike his financial manager did for him, which is the story of a lot of NFL players who had their money either stolen by, fraudulent financial managers or by family. And it's just manipulations all over the place once that money comes to you. And I mean, you have this case with Rashee Rice where it's just a lot of lessons to be learned from this. One is they were trying to figure out whether he was driving the Corvette or the Lamborghini that was involved in the race. It turned out he owned the Corvette and was driving that, and he leased the Lamborghini and let his friend drive that. First of all, don't let your friends drive a Lamborghini. You don't let anybody drive a car like that, especially when it's not yours. When you're leasing it.
Shit, I got a Kia Optima. You know, my list of people that I would trust to drive my Kia Optima is very, very short.
Right. So that's number one. Two, and this goes for him, and it goes for a lot of people. I see this on I-95 all the time, especially on weekend and weekend nights, where you have idiots like him who are going 100 to 150 miles per hour down the highway, dipping and diving through lanes to either show off for somebody, to race, whatever. There are raceways that will allow this. You can go to a raceway, especially as an NFL player. I mean, they allow anybody to really go to the raceway.
Oh, they would love for an NFL player to go there, bring his Lamborghini. You know what big of a crowd they'd bring in?
They would love that. They would give you so many perks to do that. You can go that, have an official track, lights and everything, and you don't have to worry about causing this and potentially killing several people in the process. And that goes for all the idiots that do that on the highway. I don't like to call people idiots.
They are.
I don't like to throw it around as leisurely as Charles Barkley does. But those people on the highway doing that are full-fledged idiots. It makes zero sense.
And I in 100% agreement with you. As somebody whose main profession requires me to drive 40 to 50,000 miles a year,
right, across
damn near 3 different states, the amount of stupidity that I see, whether I'm out in the country roads or I'm in in the city parts or up and down the highways, maybe there just needs to be more stricter laws when it comes to traffic infractions. Maybe that'll be enough to scare people away. But when you have a culture that's predicated on flash and showing off and recklessness, like these are things that are going to happen. So a good thing to remember is you are who you surround yourself with. So just surround yourself with the right people and the right things will happen for you in the long run.
I fully agree with that. And I fully agree with the stricter laws and regulations on it when it happens, because it's the same thing with like Andy Reid's son. Drunk driving and all of that. It's not the idiot who ends up getting the worst of it. It's not the idiot who gets killed doing it. It's always winds up being somebody else, like a child or something in another car. It's just reckless shit.
Kansas City rightfully voted no on the sales tax extension to fund the Chiefs and also the Kansas City Royals stadiums out there in Kansas City. Congratulations to the population in mass in Kansas City. Fuck them. Fuck the Hunt family. The Royals, who the hell do you think you are? You guys are just a farm for the other teams. Like, why do you think you should get a new stadium? And, hey, Mr. Hunt, you guys were voted like the worst leadership and owners in the NFL off the players. Like, the only thing you have going for you is Andy Reid. So, like, you have plenty of money. You don't need you already played this game back in 06 or 07 when he threatened to leave, and that's how they pushed the sales tax to kind of help fund it. No. You got money, spend it. Because what's going to end up happening? You're going to get the revenue off that sales tax from the Kansas City faithful, and then what are you going to do when the new stadium opens up? You're going to raise the prices and start charging them more to come there. So fuck you. I don't care about your problems. You figure it out or go, because I don't think anyone really cares.
Did you see the last headline I saw of Clark Hunt before that was him saying, it was a quote, just says Clark Hunt, quote, "I never promised the players a new locker room this offseason."
He got him chairs. He got him new fucking chairs.
What a poverty franchise that's just winning it all.
Right. It's just it's people like that which you don't want to see anything good happen, because there's so many good storylines and so many great people that are playing for the Kansas City Chiefs that you want to see win, like Andy Reid or like your Patrick Mahomes and your Travis Kelce's. But you don't want to give this guy more hardware because it just further justifies his actions. It's like a spoiled rich kid in school who nobody wants to hang out with. Nobody wants to go and have him be part of the party. But faculty's like, hey, his dad's paying the endowment for the school. You have to let him come with you. And everyone's like, okay, fine, we'll entertain him. And then he just keeps going after more and more and more. Spend your own money if you want it.
He's got a house in the stadium. There's a house. He has a mansion in Arrowhead Stadium. That's why. That's probably why he wants the new stadium so badly. He wants the new house that's built in there. But you can't get them a new locker room.
His net worth is $2 billion. He's got the money. Spend it.
Or at least just meet them halfway, because I know that they weren't. I know that they were just trying to ride the voters. And good for, like you said, good for the voters to shut that down. And they shut it down overwhelmingly.
And you're starting to see this a lot with just the population in general now with a lot of these guys. Because, I mean, you saw it with the whole Kellogg fiasco that's been going on. You saw it, you're seeing it with him. You're seeing it with the Oakland A's right now, because it was interesting when you brought that up earlier on, how now they're playing in Sacramento. It's just like, I think the population in general are starting to wake up a little bit to understanding how much of an impact they could possibly have when it comes to things like this.
Right.
I think it's just the consistency part that the population in general has a problem with, because it's just kind of a fly-by-night story. Something else is going to happen a week later. Everyone's going to forget about this, and they're going to do some midnight vote and sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened.
Right.
But no, I will never concern myself with the problems of a billionaire. He can go fuck off.
It didn't make my top 5, but it's kind of connected to this one. But Ted Leonsis and the Wizards Capitals situation here in Virginia and DC, saw how that one turned out. Glenn Youngkin got his
switch.
Glenn Youngkin got his governor of Virginia got his ass handed to him, trying to make that deal happen. The House completely shut it down. They sent it back. All of a sudden, you got the Leonis family running back to D.C. and Mayor Muriel Bowser and getting a $500 million push from D.C. to renovate that stadium and to renovate just the whole area. They said they want to get rid of, the street vendors and street musicians, which is very known. When you go to Capital One Arena, you're going through Chinatown. We saw it when we were at Awesome Con trying to find ramen. Oh, my God, in the rain. But those drummers that are going outside the stadium, the vendors that are all around, they want to get rid of that, which is, that's just what's going to happen at stadiums. And there's some culture, at least with the music that's happening around. You're getting a little go-go sound around there.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It just provides the atmosphere to it, because a lot of people take the metro right in there in Chinatown. They walk in, and like you said, you have the noise of the people going to the games, of the surrounding environment, of the people playing the drums and other street performers. Hey, if anything, if they're that worried about it, how about you hire them seasonally to go out there and you pay them a livable wage, so that way they're not, hassling people for money.
They'll never
just an idea. I mean,
we're gonna replace.
God forbid you're trying to give somebody a helpful boost. But what do I know?
Replace them with AI drummers.
Oh fuck! How about Ted Leonsis go out there and start drumming?
Oh, I would love that. I'd get season tickets for that.
No, but hopefully they use that money in a constructive way, not just on the stadium and kind of like the immediate kind of 1 block radius around it. But like you said, me and you and Zoo and the whole crew kind of walked around Chinatown for a little bit during, Awesome Con. And there's definitely some infrastructure problems.
Oh, for sure.
And some things that should be updated a little bit. So just kind of promote, just kind of overall safety for your consumer.
Right.
But then again, I digress.
You don't need somebody to tell Griffin, the Griffin the Grick Wolbert, they're not looking for no boy pussy just randomly on the street. You don't need that. I do.
He stopped real quick, though.
He did stop real quick. I do hate that with, stadiums and stuff, where the first thing that you're going to see from them are the new luxury seats, the new box seats. Yep. That's what we got from the Commanders with FedEx Field, or whatever the new field. FedEx Field, no longer. FedEx pulled out. The field is going to have something new and new renovations, plenty of money going into it. First thing they pop up are all these new luxury boxes and the new premier VIP seats that they're going to have. We're never going to see that. We're not going to get close to that. I don't care about that. Fix the sound. I can't hear the national anthem when they're doing it.
Well, and it blows my mind, because then you make the argument that they're running these billion-dollar franchises. They need to make sure that they're getting top dollar for things and they're making as much money as possible to help fund everything. When that's on the contrary, you saw what Arthur Blank's doing down in Atlanta with the fan-friendly, fan-first menu that he has, where you have refillable Cokes for $2. You tell me I can go for $2 and I can always come back and get more soda?
That's
impossible. Great. You got $5 Bud Lights at a national football game. I mean, you're thinking about how much you're gonna make it up in quantity at that point. I know you're not making as much, because there's people out there that would spend $15-$20 on a beer and blah 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 blah. But I understand you want to try to take care of the people who are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for these luxury suites. But what about two aspiring daytime talk show hosts who just want to go out one weekend to go to a game and not have to feel like they have to take a small payday loan to go out there and go enjoy themselves?
Right. The Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos of sports variety shows want to just enjoy a game at FedEx Field together, a nice little date night.
Right.
and not go broke. That's
Right.
it.
What do I know?
You even have shitty teams doing it because I saw the Carolina Panthers raise their ticket prices on season ticket holders.
It's another inept franchise. And it all starts from the top.